Alright, well, I guess I just have to talk over the fucking, lawn shit happening out there. Jesus fucking Christ. So the movie I'm gonna talk to you over the fucking weed whacker today is The Unborn. The movie doesn't have an opening title card, which I feel like David S. Goyer kind of stole that from Christopher Nolan. The movie starts off with our main character. It starts with her, she's taking a jog, and then there's like a glove on the ground where she has to pick it up because she's like, oh no, some little child lost her hand and all that stuff. Anyway, she sees like a little kid, and then for a second the little kid turns into a dog with like a mask on. Then that dog runs away, and then she finds the mask on the ground. She pulls the mask off, and she finds a fetus in the ground, like you do. And then, camera zooms in on the fetus, and the fetus opens his eyes. That's how the movie cold open starts. Thank you. How much fucking grass do you have to do? The fucking lawns here aren't huge. They're tiny. My God. So our main character is a babysitter. And of course she's talking to her friend on the phone like, oh yeah, I had this like weird dream and like, what does it mean? And her friend's like superstitious, so she's like looking through a book like, so dogs mean that, dogs exist, babies mean that you are probably wanting a baby, and like, yeah, like weird mass, like children means that you're gonna have a demon child, So she hears via the baby monitor that one of the kids has woken up and is like talking, so she's like, hey, I gotta check this out. She goes upstairs, and the little boy is like holding this tiny little mirror, to the baby's face, which makes me wonder where he got like that little sliver of mirror, because it's not like he was holding like his mom's compact or something, or like a little hand mirror. He's just holding a little mirror that, people have in prison or something to the baby's face. And he's just like, look at yourself. And the baby's like, I'm a baby. What the fuck, So when the girl was like, what are you doing? The kid just turns around and just maps her over the fucking head with the mirror. Because, the kid's possessed, if you didn't figure that out already. Oh my God. Nope, of course. Fucking starts all over again. God! Are you doing like fucking Edward Scissorhands sculptures? What? So in the morning she's like, well that was weird and all that stuff. So she decides, I'm gonna make some eggs before I go to school. And she like, I'm making eggs. She breaks off an egg and it's like this huge ant, bug, insect thing. I don't know. It's just whenever those bugs show up in the movie, like a loud stinger sound happens and she screams as well. So it's a like just like that noise happening. So she goes to class, and of course, she has one of those classes where they're talking about like life beyond death and things and weird stuff. Like, wow, this so happens to be coinciding with your life right now suddenly. So anyway, she's stressed about her dream and the weird baby thing that happened with the kids that she was babysitting, and her superstitious friend was like, your eye is like really weird, what's on your eye? Randomly we learned that her mother, killed herself, so okay. You're getting this weird thing, your eye's all funny. Also, BT dubs, my mother killed herself. Okay. And since the weird stuff's been happening, whenever she would close her medicine cabinet, she'll hear like a knock on the other side. And she's just like, what? And then at one point, like, you see her bits. Like, she's in all that white, and then you're like, lady, I see labia practically. Whoa. Jesus Christ. And that's not like the first time this movie gets kind of like weirdly sexual about things. Like, I know it's like a horror film and there tends to be those kind of moments, but this movie goes in like this kind of, it doesn't even go into like the obvious like, hey, there's just gonna be like a naked chick out of nowhere and here's this like obligatory sex scene, but it's just more like, But yeah, so her, lady part showing self is like, alright, I gotta investigate that sound yet again. Because the first time she does it, it's just no medicine. She opens it up, it's a little boy! It's the little boy. He's shoved in the medicine cabinet. How'd you get there? You know. Of course, she freaks out. She, like, removes the mirror. Understandable. I guess they're done with the front lawn, and I think they're moving towards the backyard. Right? Nope! Nope, they decided to go back to piss me off! The baby that she was babysitting dies. Suddenly. Her superstitious friend even mentioned, like, oh, babies aren't supposed to see their own reflection within the first month or year or some shit like that. But if they do, it's somehow, like, you're gonna die. That's really dumb. Where does that come from? So she goes back to the eye doctor to get her results. Turns out, it's a possibility she might be a twin because the whole thing, zippity bop, happens when you're a twin and you share DNA and things don't really... Somehow it just suddenly showed up now, not, you know, before and all that stuff. So because of this, she goes through, like, her mom's, like, old stuff to kind of see if there's any information on, like, a twin, you know? Maybe there were pictures when she was younger. Who knows? She's looking through all this stuff. She finds an article about Holocaust survivor, because that's out of nowhere. And then she thinks, I have to go meet this Holocaust survivor because my mom has one little newspaper clip article on her. So that means it's a clue I have to go. And I love, I even wrote down here, you gotta love movie logic where anyone can visit people without extensive questioning. Like, that kind of old folks home isn't just like one of those that you could kind of like walk in whenever you meet someone. It's definitely like you see her go up and say like, hi, I'm so-and-so, I called earlier, I'm gonna meet da-da-da. And she goes, oh yeah, she's on the 3rd floor. Usually a place like that, it would be like, cool, can I see your ID? What relation do you have to this person? You know what I mean? Because if it's just, I want to visit her, like, even if they allow you to visit her, there's going to be someone else with you. Especially if there's no, like, if you're like, you don't have like the same last name, you know, or if you have no idea who she is, you're just like, I found an article on my dead mom's stuff, and I just think she could tell me about me having a twin and possibly be demon-possessed. Preggers. Alright. I don't have to shout as much. Watch, it's gonna start again. Alright. So she goes, sees the old lady. The old lady sees her, because her friend is with her too. The old lady sees her and just goes, are you a twin? And she's like, how do you know? How do you know, Holocaust survivor lady? How do you just suddenly know? She shows like a picture that when she was like looking through stuff, and it's like her pregnant mom looking at like a mirror, and then that demon boy is in only the reflection of the mirror. And so she's like, do you know who this boy is? And the old lady is like, get out! Get out! Get out! Like freaking out and all that stuff. I almost actually just fell off this yoga ball. Yeah. She's like, get out! She's like, alright. Again, no orderly or anyone is like, what did you do to her? Any of that stuff. No. They just like leave. She's just kind of slightly catatonic, but it's fine. You know, because it's an old folks home, because they do that, because they're old people. So she also finds like a couple reels when she was looking through her mom's stuff, and her boyfriend, the evil vampire guy from the first Twilight movie, is like, cool, let's look through the stuff. And I love how it's not just like, here's film of something really cryptic and she somehow like figured out clues of what to do. It's literally like, here's, you know, the old asylum your mother stayed at. We're walking through this hallway. We're walking to this other hallway. Oh, there's a door. Oop, the thing ends, and the boyfriend's like, what do you think that's supposed to mean? And the girl's like, beyond that door is where my mom hanged herself! And it's like, wow. Wow. It wasn't even like trying to go all like The Ring, like, let's give you some cryptic shit and then you're gonna have to figure it out. It's like, nope. Go. It's like pretty much saying sooner or later you're gonna have to go to that asylum and go through the door or something. Like, alright. But yeah, like once she says that whole like, that's where my mom killed herself. And it's like a slight pause and then boom! Cut to a loud ass train going by. So you're like, oh, okay, God! Fuck! You know? It reminds me of when I saw 50 Shades Darker, and it was like, nighttime sexy bed shit happening, and like, it's all fucking dark and all that shit. And then all of a sudden, just car headlights in my face, and I'm like, ah! Like, in the theater. Apparently I was the only one affected by this. Because of all this stress or whatever not, her and her friends and boyfriend go to a club, decide, fuck it, let's drink, let's have a good time. We're young, we're college students. You know, like, have a good time, all that stuff. But of course she can't just have a good time. Of course she starts seeing shit. Fucking J.J. Abrams guest directed that part. Jeez. She goes to the bathroom, she splashes cold water on her face, and suddenly she's like, and she, like, you know, starts, like, puking, all that stuff. And it's like, she probably thinks, like, oh yeah, it's probably because I had too much to drink. It's like, no, we know that you are pregnant with, you know, a dead baby. So then she starts, this where it gets so ridiculous. So then she starts hearing sounds coming from the other side of the stall, and she's like, oh, there's a glory hole here. Let me get close to this glory hole in this stall. Let me look into this glory. Let me put my eye. Let me put my eye against this glory hole. Because there's nothing wrong with that. What I actually wrote, like, I wrote, exactly what you think would happen if you look through a glory hole. Bugs and shit water comes out of everywhere in the bathroom, and of course she's freaking out, because it's like, she's like, let me, like, it's like that part, I had to pause it just so I could, like, write that and then just laugh, because she's like, oh man, this glory hole is speaking to me. So then she's like, let me look through the glory hole, and then it's like, bugs! Ah! And then she's like, ah! And then it's like, bugs coming from the other stall and shit water. So she runs out the stall, and then it's like bugs and shit water out of the sink. And so she's just sitting there, like, she can't leave because of course it's like the door is locked kind of shit. She's like, ah! Ah! Like freaking out. And of course, like, her boyfriend and friend just like bust through the door, like, to get her. So she has like this dream that night, and it becomes like this moment in like fucking Supernatural where she's like on the ceiling looking at herself below. And I mentioned the whole like creepy factor. So like the little boy is there, and he starts like pulling her shirt up, and his hand is very close to boobage, and just kind of like rubbing her stomach, and then like he just sticks her hand in her stomach, as like you do, you know, to be like, ha-ha, dead baby in you, I just put a dead baby in you. So of course she wakes up like, ah, woo, ah, woo, ah, you know. And so, of course, like, right after that, the Holocaust lady, that just sounds so fucked up saying, but the Holocaust lady calls her, and she's like, you need to come here now, we need to talk. And the girl's like, but it's midnight. She's like, please come over. So then she goes. So then she, like, leaves, you know? I think it's stated that, like, her dad was off on, like, business for, like, a week or something. So it's not like, you know, she had to, like, explain to her dad why she just left in the middle of the night. But she somehow was able to go to this old folks' home at midnight, and it was totally fine, and no one was like, I don't care that she called you to come. This is not visiting hours. And even if they, again, allowed her to go, they would just be like, okay, here she is. You know, like, someone has to be in the room. Or, you know, but whatever. So then the old lady tells her that the ghost boy kid that she keeps seeing was her own twin brother. That's how she somehow knew that girl was a twin, because you just know. You just know. And they were in Auschwitz together. This is just getting great. They were in Auschwitz together, and then freaking Joseph Mengele was the one who was experimenting on him, you know, to make his, you know, eyes blue because Nazis. So that boy died because of Nazi experiments, but then he didn't die because he then came back to life as a demon child. So after that, she goes to the library to, like, research more of what the lady was telling her. The librarian just drops off this manuscript, and, like, she literally just puts it in front of her. She's like, be careful with the pages of the old manuscript. You just give it to her in, like, the main reading room. You don't have to, like, take her to, like, where you keep these books. You have to have gloves on, maybe a mask, and there's, like, certain type of ventilation, and... But anyway, she ends up, like, walking out of the library with the fucking book, because, like you do. It's like no one's trying to hunt her down. She didn't have to, like, give her library card so they're able to have her information to be like, bitch, you just stole, like, an old-ass book. We need to come find you. Like, for fuck's sakes, like, when I was little and I returned a book, but then I was accused of not returning a book, and they were practically hunting my 8-year-old ass down, you know, to return a book that I already had returned. You know, guess this old-ass, cool-looking library didn't care too much about their goddamn manuscript. The library that I forgot to put the book, like, return the book back in, you know, really cared about some stupid frog book. God damn it. So she goes and finds, like, a rabbi to help her out with this, and the rabbi is Gary Oldman. I get it. This is done by David S. Goyer. She asks him to help to, like, do an exorcism on her because she's haunted. Okay. So then there's, like, this random mini montage sequence of her, like, destroying all the mirrors in her house, and then burning them, and then burying the remaining pieces, because the lady was like, okay, didn't tell her beforehand, but is like, okay, well, now we know you are fully possessed or haunted or dead baby demon child thing happening. You're gonna have to break all your mirrors, burn them, and then bury the pieces. Which is funny, because later on, she didn't really do that with all the pieces, because her friend comes over the house and sees, like, a frame with, like, shattered mirror pieces. Like, what happened to that mirror? And it's like, well, I guess you didn't follow the fucking lady's rules. So we're more than halfway through the movie, and her eyes are getting worse. Now, like, the one eye is almost fully blue, and then the other one's starting to get all kind of weird again. So then she has, like, this dream of her, like, dead mom in the asylum holding a fetus in a jar. And I thought, is that me? Is that me? So at the old folks' home, the power goes out because plot. And then the old lady decides to go around with her flashlight because plot again. And then she sees that old man like this. And then she gets scared to death. Alright. And the whole, like, upside-down head thing is, like, a huge gimmick in the movie, because then you see it again with, like, a dog. And it's like, okay. So then her friend gets stabbed by, you know, possessed child, the one that she was babysitting. And then so then she gets, possessed, because the boyfriend was about to punch the shit out of the kid, but then leap bodies into her, and she's like, you know, like you do. And, Idris Elba. Idris Elba's in this movie. Idris Elba is in this movie. Like, he just... like, Gary Oldman comes in, like, halfway through the second act, and then Idris Elba comes in during the third act, because Idris Elba is a clergy person who can help assist with the exorcism. And then she's like, no, I don't need, like, a Catholic exorcism. I need a Jewish exorcism. And it's like, I don't think that the religious part is what matters. I think you just don't want to be preggers by a dead baby. So I love how it's like, oh, where can we do this exorcism? And they're like, to the girl, like, well, you have to choose, because is there some place that, you know, you don't like? It'd be funny if she does it at, like, a mall or something. Like, I don't like this mall. They didn't treat me well. But, of course, duh, just like the film obviously showed, she goes to the asylum that her mom was at. And Gary Oldman blows his huge-ass, like horn. And, like, after he goes for a while, then it's just like, the sound dies down, and then he kind of looks around and he goes, okay, like, we brought attention to the demon. I'm like, yeah, and probably dogs, like, 20 miles away, dude. So, of course, they start the exorcism, all that shit. And, of course, it's like, they said, like, oh, it needs to have 10 people to do it, because 10 is a, you know, like, a round number. And it's also like, we need the body count. So all the volunteering people outside of you know, Gary Oldman, Idris Elba, obviously the girl, and then the boyfriend, like those four, everyone else dies. Like once like demon shit starts happening and people are thrown against the wall and bleh, all that stuff, like they all start dying. And then it's like, alright, cool. You don't see Gary Oldman for some time because you think like he died, but he just got over there. So then the girl and the boyfriend, they run away, and the girl like grabs the paper and she's like, we need to finish it! Like, okay. And then Idris Elba shows up and he's possessed, you know, and he's just like, ah, I'm Idris Elba, I can't believe you put me in this movie, ah! He starts going after them. But then the boyfriend, like, you know, knocks him in the back of his head and he dies because he's like, whang, and he's like, bam. So then the boyfriend gets possessed because we know this is how it goes. So the boyfriend gets possessed and the girlfriend's like, oh my god, no, not my boyfriend, oh. Oh yeah, you were in that movie, was it Never Back Down? Was that fighting movie? Oh my god! And I think, I find it so weird because they tell you that this ritual thing has to be done like with 10 people, and somehow, okay, Gary Oldman shows up, he has his book, and he's like, I'm reading the thing to finish the exorcism, and then the girl like grabs a paper out of her back pocket and she's like like crying, and she's like like that, and I'm like, alright. And so the two of them finish off this exorcism, you know, which is part of the boyfriend, and then the boyfriend like flies off this balcony and he whangs his head, so he's, you know, he's done. It's just her and Gary Oldman. They're the only ones alive. Everything's fine. You don't see, like, Gary Oldman's just like, well, that sucked. Anyway, let's leave here. And because it's an abandoned building, we're probably not going to tell anyone about all these people who died. Anyway, boop, boop, boop. Let's go on with our lives. And the girl is just kind of like, goes through like this weird kind of montage-y flashback kind of thing. And she was just like, you know, if I've always had a twin and zippity bop and all that stuff, why did suddenly this happen? And flashes to like her and her boyfriend, like, you know, kissing in bed, and you're like, oh, it's because they had unprotected sex. Oh, she's puking because, again, like, we knew this. And then all of a sudden it's like, she goes, like, you see her with a pregnancy test, says she's pregnant, and it's like, okay. And then, like, you also see her, like, with her phone, like, like, on the calendar, and she's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. And mind you, this happens within, like a week or something, like, not that long of a time, alright? Because it's like, she has that weird dream, blah, 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 and then she says to the boyfriend, you can come over to my place because my dad is out for the rest of the week or the rest of the weekend or some shit like that. So, you know, like, they were able to fuck. Cool. But it's only like a week, 2 weeks at most, 3 weeks tops. And then she goes and gets an ultrasound, and those babies are well developed. This is like, you're pregnant for probably a good 3 to 4, 5 months tops, depending on certain people how, you know, the development is. Like, what? But then again, it's like demon babies. It's one of those things where it's like, oh my god, I'm pregnant. 2 days later, whoa, you know? 2 days after that, you know, that kind of shit. So, you know, it just, yeah, I just find that really hilarious. And so she's like, okay, I guess I'm gonna, you know, give birth to demon child. And because the person's like, you know, doing the ultrasound, like, congratulations, you have 2 of them. And it's like, you see, like, you know, like, the babies, and then you hear the little boy going, Jumbie wants to be born. And it's like, cool. So, you're gonna give birth to twins. One of them is your dead twin brother, who is most likely the spawn of Satan, it seems to be. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. I remember when this movie, like, you know, the commercials, all that stuff, like, it had that, like, creep factor to it. Like, it's not, like, it was one of those, like, more, like, suspenseful thrillers, and it really is of, like, a horror film. And, it, you know, you saw, like, that head thing happening. You didn't see the full head tilt, you know, and you're like, oh, that's just so weird, okay. It had, like, that creep factor. And then, of course, they're trying to sell it to you because they're like, oh, it's from one of the people who did Dark Knight, produced by these people who produce, like, Insidious or whatever shit. You're like, oh my god, this must be good. No, it's not. You know, also, speaking of produced, this was produced by Michael Bay. Yet another one of those movies. They kind of knew it was produced by Michael Bay when you saw Platinum Dunes in the beginning of the movie. This was The Unborn. This movie came out, and I think 5 months... this movie came out in like January of '09. And then May of '09 is when I started doing movie reviews. This movie was just kind of funny. Like, it's not bad where like, you know, you can really get mad at it. You just kind of laugh at it, you know? You can't help but laugh at it. Especially that part with the glory hole. Like, I had to take a break because I was just laughing too much about it.